want to talk about Plone and Bootstrap 4. Bootstrap 4 is like, it's not only Bootstrap 4, it's not all the framework, it's more, I need to get a title for the presentation, and basically what I show you is mainly Bootstrap 4 related, that's why I give it that title. Before I start, let's say hello. My name is Stefan Antonelli, good that I provided that slide. I work for Operon since ages, since the early days of Plone. Feel free to ping me, contact me if you have questions afterwards. I'm also around, I'm also up for the sprints, at least the Saturday day of sprint, so if you have questions afterwards, just contact me. And I don't speak Italian, that's always quite fun when I go to Italy. So, we love Plone. I guess that's why we are here. I keep that very short because everybody knows what I show. Plone is great for complex stuff, it's great for workflows, it's great for security-related stuff. We know when we should use Plone. The current state of Plone we saw in the morning in Eric's talk. I don't have to talk about that either. And we expect a great future with all that REST API, React thing, with all the components you can plug in, with all the new stuff that comes around Plone or around the maybe headless CMS in the future. A lot of work has been put into that, a lot of effort to get this modern JavaScript-based front-end story into Plone or together with Plone somehow. I'm talking today more about what we say. I don't know, should we give that a name for the future? When we talk about backend, I talk about SOAP. When we talk about frontend, we talk about JavaScript stuff. We need a name for that in the middle. Maybe someone has a good idea for that. I'm talking basically about that. That's what I try to improve, or that's what we have pain in the ass, and that's why we try to find solutions to get stuff done somehow. The story or this pain in the ass thing, that's my next slide. Sometimes we hate Plone. I hear some people. You know why? I try to summarize it shortly for those who don't know it. It's often very difficult to make simple things in Plone. That's why we hate it sometimes. It's really not easy to start with. We have great trainings, we have great people that show stuff. When you really want, you can step into Plone and then you can do great stuff with it. In my experience, it takes like 6 months to get really into it, to get in touch with everything in Plone. Then you know mainly what you're doing, because there are always 3 different ways to do the same stuff in Plone. Sometimes we hate it because it's really bad user experience, especially on mobile devices. In the past, we will see what the future brings, but in my opinion, it's not the best UX for that. We had better UX in the past where it was only desktop, but also the desktop user experience is not my favorite one. I summarize that with theming. The whole theming story is a story for itself. I'm not going to shout about that. I try to ask the question, why? Why do we hate Plone sometimes? And in my opinion, we have some complexity in the system with portlets, with Toolbar, with folder contents, which is JavaScript-related stuff. Or some of us are developers, let's say back-end developers. They love Python, they love logic, they love, yeah, you know what you love. And the complexity in the system that's why it's difficult to come into Plone. And it's always something breaks and you have no idea why, because you cannot know everything. Time goes on and some of the knowledge has left the community. That's why we have great systems, great components, and no expert that can deal with it perfectly. This is my opinion, why we hate Plone sometimes and why there is nobody that can support us or help us in a quick way. So my idea is make Plone easy again. It's not only the theming thing, I also wish to make the backend a little bit more easy. I ask you to drop some of the components that are very complex, and is it really worth to keep it in just to keep it in? Or is it better to maybe drop something like, I don't know. I will show some examples what we can drop, and in my opinion, it's not a big loss. Um, I would make it easy for users with a modern user interface to deal with Plone. Walto is one approach, but it's again a different technology. I would make it easy for people who want to sell Plone. Selling is just in quotes, because also developers, also integrators, every company that needs to use Plone or that wants to use Plone, we have to make it easier for them to use it in the future in different ways. And how to archive this, that's with some ideas I have. You see just a word, I try to explain a little bit what I mean about, because summarizing that is not that easy. Please drop columns, nobody need them. When we only keep the main column in Plone, everything is easy. It's responsive in one go. You don't have to deal with responsiveness when you just drop all the columns and keep the main stuff. The main column itself fully works on a mobile device. Everything looks nice and shiny. I love it. That's why I ask you to drop columns. It makes the UI cleaner, and it makes coding easier with because of different point of views. One of that point of views is when we drop columns, we don't have portlets. I have not seen portlets in Volto so far. Maybe somebody explains it during the sprints. I think portlets are very complex. It's one of that great technology from the past that's very interesting. I have no idea how they work. Most of the people I show portlets, they have no idea how to configure them. They are there. They are difficult to deal with as a developer. They are difficult to understand as a user. And the biggest problem is they're not related to the context, especially on mobile devices. It's useless for me to wrap a whole column under the content on a mobile device. Portlet for me is addition to the main content that I see in the main column. And when you wrap it under that, and there is lots of stuff in between, it's useless for me. We need to find a way. I know there are projects and there are packages that deal with that somehow. I'm not complaining about them. You can use it, you cannot use it. I think the default Plone should just not have portlets. Maybe we find something better. We discussed about that in the last conferences. Maybe a point for the discussion. Next question is Toolbar. Who likes the toolbar? Who loves the toolbar? I mean, love under the code of conduct, but who loves really the toolbar? I see 2 hands. Okay, great. I don't like it. Please drop the toolbar. We dropped it in our project, by the way. I show you later how we deal with that. Again, the same with portlets. For me, it's difficult to understand, difficult to theme. I really tried hard to theme the toolbar, the default toolbar in Plone. Tried to do some CSS changes, tried to make it responsible, tried to make it responsive for a mobile device. To make the story short, it's for me difficult to theme and it's difficult to extend. I really need some more knowledge to get this done. It's not easy. When it's easy, I can do it. I cannot do it. So that's my summary. I will point on that later during the talk. So next, we are not going to reinvent the wheel. I don't want to create a theme that replaces Barceloneta with a new theme that also is lots of custom stuff. Nobody knows it, has the same problems basically. We are not going to reinvent the wheel. We are not wasting time for design and design decisions because everything is there. My idea is let's pick a front-end framework and let's use it. What framework you're going to use, that's up for discussion. There is Bootstrap, it's one of the most best-known CSS frameworks. There is Semantic UI, which is used in Volto, as far as I know. There is also Foundation available. The question is not which framework. I would ask you, let's use one of them to make life easier for future development or for future changing of templates or whatever we do. In the project I'm going to talk about, we decided to use Bootstrap. That was the decision. Why? Yeah, why? Everything is in what you need for Plone. It's popular, everybody knows it, everybody can deal with it. You can also hire a designer and say, technically basis is Bootstrap, on top of that, can you do something for me? And I never met a designer that says, no, I've never heard about Bootstrap. That not happened. It includes everything you need. Typography, forms, buttons, lots of stuff more on that. And as far as we have seen in the project, everything is in that we really need for Plone to use Plone to get the full working user interface to work with Plone. Genau. We called that plonetheme.tokyo. That's the package that came out. We started implementing that. We started implementing a new theme based on Bootstrap and only Bootstrap. It's not on top of Barceloneta. The project started during the Plone conference. The initial intention was to make a clean theme on top of Barceloneta. That escalated quickly somehow, and we decided to drop. That's why we work on that and kicked out Barceloneta and only have clean templates in that. This is how it looks like when you install it on Plone 5.2. I walked through the screenshots a little bit quickly. I just saw a sign with 10 minutes. I have a little demo that shows the stuff in action. That's better for later. So the front page, we customized the login page, just a page template with Bootstrap elements, nothing custom. You have forms that you can use for the editing thing. And when you created a page, it looks, in my opinion, really clean. Clean, especially when you have a look on the same stuff on the mobile device. And no minute on customizing, because it's just there. So login, everything is there, and we just use the default markup plus Bootstrap default stuff. So short summary, Bootstrap, no columns, no portlets, and it's responsive, also really responsive. I have to talk about that because otherwise I'm getting beaten up. We dropped it, and we came up with a concept to bring navigation and editing features together. Since we dropped the columns and portlets, there is no navigation portlet, which is necessary for the most projects. We need a toolbar for editors to work with Plone, and we brought this together and called it collective sidebar. It's a standalone package. You can also use it with default Plone. It's a drop-in replacement for the toolbar. It's only one template to override, and we start adding in configuration options. Stuff is missing still, but it's on the heavy development, and depending on what you need, you can use it. Sometimes you need to extend it. When you have to change it, it's only one template. So our trainee understood that after one day. Yeah, that's how it looks like. For anonymous users, it's basically a navigation with static links. When you're logged in, you get all the editing stuff. The cool thing, it's only one column. You can scroll up and down, and that makes it fully accessible for mobile devices. That's what we really enjoyed on that. Short summary, the code is on GitHub. Check it out, try it out, give us feedback. Again, I'm up for the sprint. Contact me and talk to me. When you have a project and you want to use it and you need a feature or you need a detail, talk to me and we try to get it in somehow. How many minutes I have? 8. Please say 8. 8 is great, because 8 minutes takes the video. 8. I made that to explain it a little bit while the video is running. I don't have to click around. You see that in action. We made some smooth animations to have it a little fancy. That's on the desktop. I showed just basic features of Plone. I don't have to explain the feature, but just recognize that it's working. It uses the forms from Bootstrap. There are also tabs and stuff. We have some pain to how to do it correctly. That's where we need feedback, or where I want to talk to more experienced developers. Also, TinyMC is a story for itself. There is a talk on Friday about doing all the theming JavaScript stuff in a separate world outside Plone. This fits somehow together to our Tokyo theme story. I have to talk to the guys. Maybe we can work together somehow. I'm still creating the page. We have added some of the default contents of Plone just to show how they work when we do some styling. To get this done, we have Bootstrap, and we had to pull in some of the old school or some of some of the legacy Plone JavaScript and legacy Plone styling to get TinyMC working in that way. I'm pretty sure we can do that better, but it's one of the first releases of the theme, and yeah, maybe we can get it ready for Plone 6 or something like that. Tabs are working. I added some stuff. Here you see some alignment issues that need to be fixed. The tags are not like I want to have them. I guess I show the view without this message on top, then I can switch to the responsive view. That's basically what you have seen in the screenshot. This is when you switch to an iPhone X, how it looks like. The sidebar should come in. You really have to try to edit with that on a mobile phone like an iPhone. It's everything you can do with your thumb. It works. 8 minutes, really. We make the questions a little bit shorter afterwards. By the way, I cannot answer any questions. I lost my video. The welcome page. Next, I guess we will add a news item. I put that in to show how to upload an image that's working. Nothing new in Plone, but how the rendering is and how the responsiveness of the stuff is. I really should have made that a little shorter. Yeah. While the video is running. Some of the widgets we have in Plone are also not fully covered. We have taken care about the file upload widget and the image upload widget. That's the one we use in that project. Of course, there is more stuff. The keyboard thing is working out of the box. I need feedback, or we need to discuss how to enable external widgets or the whole widget library to work with default Bootstrap. At the moment, it's, in my opinion, like a mixture. It would be kind if every widget that is used in Plone uses default Bootstrap markup, because forms and stuff is mostly there. When we really need something special, we should build it on top of Bootstrap. Okay, events. And at this point, we added an event for that. The widgets we need for the event are also working. We tried to cover all the default content pages. So when you install Plone, when you add news items, events, they should basically work. Maybe we missed something, but yeah, we gave our best. It's still work in progress, so please don't expect a fully working complete feature like Plone 5. Okay, after saving the event, I just created the event to show the event listing. We keep that also simple in the first step. Starting with a simple design and a simple template with default components that are shipped with Bootstrap is a starting point. You can always extend that, but in my opinion, to extend that makes it much easier. Did you calculate in that we started a little later? Okay, so that's the default view from the event. We added in this special information. Last is the listing, and after that, we are done with the content types. I quickly jump to the default rendering from Plone that gives a quick overview how the elements are designed or displayed under that theme thing. I also switched to the responsive view with the default rendering to give a quick view on that. Small stuff that can be improved, but most of the stuff is working out of the box without taking care especially. That's basically what I mean with one column. When there is only one column, it's much easier to deal with that stuff. You don't have to concentrate on what needs to come next or after or before or next to it. Okay. Last stuff or last part of the presentation of this quick demo is the settings. Here we had to customize or to theme a little bit because it's nothing you can do with default Bootstrap indeed. We added the control panels that are, we had a matrix where we wrote down all the pages. Most of them are working, or not most, all of them are working. When there was a broken page or a broken configuration page, we tried to fix it. Some of them are already styled or are already overridden to, for example, the actions you saw or the extended or the add-ons page you see. We add some styling here to make that work. And last thing I show in the control panel is the configuration for the sidebar. Every feature we add to the sidebar from now, we make configurable. So what you see now is never breaking an existing project. What's coming in new is turned off by default and you can turn it on. I enabled cookies and collapsible. That's like for power users. You can collapse all the sections. Again, you can make for your custom project some sane defaults that fit to that project. When you reload the page, it's still collapsed. That's why we need the cookie, basically. Lots of ideas what can be improved, but the main information is one template to touch. Okay. No minutes?